Hey everyone, I hope you had a great day. Welcome back to some new r/malicious compliance stories. I hope you enjoy them. If you like the video, don't forget to hit the like button. It really helps. And if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe. And now, let's start with the first story, shall we? The first story is called You Want It? You Got It. I work as a receptionist at an office and have a boss who's never where she is supposed to be. If she has an appointment at 9 in the morning, she won't get here until 5 after, and then takes 15 minutes to get to them. If she has an appointment right after at 10, now that one's backed up, and so on and so forth. Because of this, my supervisor told me to put 1 hour blocks between her appointments and to never schedule her for anything after 3 on a Friday. Last week someone called to make an appointment, but when I told them the next available day and time, they complained about how far off that is. Well, apparently that person was a friend of my boss's friend. They complained, so my boss comes in and asks me, "Are you telling people the next available day is almost 3 weeks away?" I said yes and showed her the schedule, which she can look up at any time. She asked about the blocked off times. I told her this was so she didn't get slammed with back-to-back appointments so she could get some breathing room. Not a complete lie. She said, "I appreciate you trying to be considerate, but we can't be turning people away. We aren't though." So I was told to schedule people at any availability we have within business hours. My supervisor and I were like, "You want it? You got it." So now we are scheduling her in every slot there is, including after 3 on Fridays. The only times we don't are when she has an appointment out of the office that we know she can't get back in time from, and lunchtime. We are not monsters. No developments as of yet, because the days where I gave her extra blocks haven't run out yet. But when next Friday hits, she'll get a wallop. The next story is called Use It or Lose It. I'm an analytical chemist in the petroleum industry. I'm attached to a refining pilot plant, where we test products related to refining. The data I produce supports various other groups. My lab is staffed by me, a senior chemist, and a contractor lab tech, the Minion. The Minion does a lot of the day-to-day work as well as some regular tasks for my boss. I do maintenance, repairs, method development, special project planning, as well as the more advanced analyses, where there are more nuances in the data processing. Due to 2020, an edict came from high up in the corporate pantheon that we weren't allowed to carry over any vacation time this year. Usually I'm allowed to carry over 5 days. I guess they are worried about people banking up too much time and leaving various groups critically understaffed when too many people take vacation time at once. This being America, with lax labor protections, this is all perfectly legal. My boss emailed me and said I had 5.5 days left and she's been told to tell me to use it or lose it. I look at our holiday schedule and figure out that strategic use of vacation holiday time means I can take 2 consecutive weeks off. I told my boss this and she said, "Well, if they didn't want you to use it all at once, they shouldn't force you to use it all at once." She approved my plan. So the lab will be critically understaffed for 2 weeks, what they were trying to avoid, because I am doing what I was told. The R&D and tech service groups are going to be wanting the analytical results from the pilot plant to crunch on while working from home, since they were required to use up their vacation time as well. Not sure what they are going to do, but it won't be anything that requires data from the pilot plant. The third story is called Am I Your Dog? I work in public healthcare. This means when I have patients, I make every effort to see them as soon as possible to ensure there isn't a backlog. While I was busy with a patient, my supervisor came in and asked to see me. I said I would be with him after I finished with my patients. There was a line and I emphasized the plural. He nodded and left. I finished my patient and started on another one in order to clear the queue. A few minutes later, he walked back in and insisted on speaking to me. I excused myself and went out to speak to him. He asked why I hadn't come as of yet, and I said I told him I would speak to him after I was done with my patients. He said that he is my senior and my supervisor, and when he calls me, I should come immediately. He said that I need to be more aware, as it could be an emergency. I asked him if it was an emergency. He said no, but it could have been. Okay, cool. Yes sir, sure sir, of course sir. He is right, of course. I should run to him when he calls because I'm a dog, right? I told a couple of my senior colleagues about this, and they were appalled, but I wanted their help. At least 3 times a day, one of them now calls me for a chat. I jump up and leave my patient and run to them, in case it's an emergency. This had obviously led to a lot of complaints being made. I got called in by my supervisor and asked about this. I told him that he was the one who opened my eyes to the fact that I must be at the beck and call of my senior colleagues and supervisors. I made it clear that he was the one who told me to prioritize them over my patients. He told me I was compromising patient care, and under no circumstances should I leave my patients to tend to any of my colleagues. But sir, what if it is an emergency? Your patients are your primary concern. If there is an emergency, whoever it is can come to you instead of you going to them. The next story is called Just Following the Policy. This just happened a few hours ago. Here's the setup. I work as a service writer for the service department of a semi-truck dealership, located at a highway exit where there are many such dealerships and truck stops. As such, we have a policy that trucks can only be parked in our front lot for an hour, and there's no overnight parking. This is very clearly posted. Our participants are me, a grumpy old retired US Marine co-worker we'll call Thomas, and the slick grey-beard truck driver we'll call Don. Thomas loves to chase off trucks that park too long on our lot. So I didn't even take notice when Thomas went to tell off yet another driver. This time was different though. This time the driver didn't just leave. Instead, he comes in with Thomas in tow behind him, walking right towards me. Now, Thomas has been with the company for about 20 years. I'm new by comparison. Don introduces himself to me and begins to tell me how he works for the company that delivers trucks to us. He is the guy who picks up the Z-bars they use to link the trucks together. If you've ever seen trucks on the road stacked up on each other, the Z-bars are how they are able to link the trucks like that. Anyway, he is insisting that he has parked out there to sleep for years, and nobody has ever said anything. This is strange, since Thomas works nights and he would notice. Whatever, that doesn't matter. Thomas is right, and the signs do not say no parking unless you are a vendor. I explain that to Don. Don pauses and looks past me to our lot full of trucks to service and asks the magic question. So what the heck do the drivers that have trucks in for service do? I tell him that if the truck is in for service, we allow the drivers to sleep in the truck as long as we are open. We are open 24 hours a day, except on weekends. Don, without a moment's hesitation, looks me in the eye and says, I need my truck greased. I'll be right back. It was hard not to burst out laughing. As he was walking to the front door, I look at Thomas. He is livid. However, what just happened is 100% okay according to company policy. The best part? Don had a trailer on his truck, so he had to park it. I had to inform him, a standard procedure, that I cannot put his ticket into the shop until he comes and tells me what spot he is parked. I left work 2 hours ago. I didn't see Don again. I suspect he's sleeping like a baby, with a huge grin on his face right about now. The next story is called The Perfect Haircut. My friend is a hairdresser by trade and works at a very upscale salon. I go to her myself and can attest to her being amazing. Anyway, this salon had one customer who had been passed around from hairdresser to hairdresser, bullying every single one she saw. This woman was an absolute holy terror. She made 3 separate hairdressers cry. The only reason she was still a client of the salon was that her mom was friends with the owner. She was a relatively young girl, maybe in her mid-20s, with very long bottle blonde hair, past her waist, that she insisted to everyone who wasn't her hairdresser was her natural color. It was very much not. She went to the salon religiously, so no one would ever find out her secret shame. She blamed her hairdresser for all her hair problems, many of which were the results of heavy bleaching and how much heat she used on her hair, and her refusal to follow care instructions. She was never satisfied with anything. So everything shuts down in our state, and she screams at my friend to come to do her hair for her, because she can't have her boyfriend finding out she's not a natural blonde. Anyway, my friend refuses, and despite Karen's threats, she knows that the salon owner knows that she's too good at her job and has too loyal a customer base to fire her. So she thinks no more of it until a few months later when the salon reopens. And lo and behold, who should appear in the appointment book but Karen? So the day arrives, and Karen shows up with her hair dyed jet black, and not very well dyed either. My friend is shocked because Karen has always made such a big deal about being a blonde and how even though she gets her hair bleached, she really is a natural blonde and just enhancing her color a little. My friend asks Karen what they were doing that day and Karen demands to be made blonde again. My friend is like, okay, that's going to be a process because this idiot has used black box dye, which is really hard to get out. For those of you who don't know, getting dyed dark hair to blonde is usually something done in stages. This way, the hair has a chance to recover a bit between bleaching sessions to avoid breakage. Karen is like, no, I'm going to be blonde when I leave here today, or I'm telling your boss that you see clients at home sometimes and getting you fired. My friend sometimes does friends' hairs at home for a lower price, because she's a sweetheart, which her boss is fine with. She also said, it's your fault I had to dye my own hair this color, because my friend would have seen my roots if I hadn't done something. My friend is tired of Karen's crap at this point, but it's a slow day and she has time. She explains to Karen that if she makes her blonde all in one go, her hair will be fried and she'll likely end up having to lose a lot of length. Karen scoffs and rolls her eyes and is like, that's never happened before and my hair is so healthy, I'm sure it will be fine if you don't screw it up. My friend recommends at least using a product that helps prevent damage. Karen says she thinks it's a scam to overcharge customers and won't pay for it. Cue malicious compliance. My friend is like, okay, but makes several co-workers be witnesses that this is what Karen is asking for after she explains the risk. She meanwhile has formulated a fiendish scheme. After that, she goes through the whole process of bleaching Karen's hair. She has to do it like 4 times or something. And she checks with Karen after each one that she's absolutely sure she has to be all the way back to champagne blonde by the end of the day. She recommends stopping at some of the nice auburn or strawberry blonde shades in between for now. But Karen insists her boyfriend hates her hair anything but her natural blonde. My friend knows she will refuse, because when has a Karen ever decided at the 11th hour to be reasonable? With each bleaching, there's more breakage and Karen's hair feels worse. My friend knows Karen's hair won't survive this. Karen absolutely refuses to let her stop. Eventually, at long last, my friend manages to get Karen's hair to the required level, and so she starts to rinse Karen's hair. It starts breaking off in her hand. The length of the hair is melted, fried, destroyed. My friend gets the bleach out and immediately conditions the ever-loving heck out of it. Meanwhile, she is explaining to Karen that exactly what my friend said would happen has happened. Karen says she must be exaggerating and insists it's fine. She wraps what's left of Karen's hair in a towel and takes her back over to her station where she shows Karen the problem. Everything past a little beyond chin length is pretty much gone. Karen shrieks and accuses my friend of everything under the sun. Competence, operating without a license, she most definitely has her license, a personal vendetta and such. My friend eventually calms her down and tells her she'll do her best to cut it so it looks decent for free. She even has a perfect cut in mind. It will suit Karen perfectly. My friend gives Karen the sharpest, most beautifully cut angle bob you've ever seen. I've seen it thanks to my friend showing me Karen's Insta. Blown out and styled to "Can I speak to the manager" perfection, Karen starts crying because the cut makes her look 40. She wants to speak to the manager. My friend gets the manager, and Karen throws a fit, threatening to sue and how dare they, and how his employee did this to mock her, and so on and so forth, while my friend stands there looking completely innocent. The boss then asks for my friend's side of the story, and the other hairdressers back her up, and that the cut is just her trying to make the best of what's left of her hair. Even the boss, by now, is sick of Karen. So Karen is forced to pay the huge sum of money out for how much time was spent bleaching her hair, much of which is now gone. She leaves, swearing never to come back. Her boyfriend, a cop, calls up later and threatens to assault my friend for doing that to Karen's hair against his wishes. My friend tells him that if he tries anything, she's going to tell his superiors and every news agency in the city. Nothing further happens, but he eventually dumps Karen because he doesn't like girls with short hair. The last story is called Satisfying Workday. I was working for a well-known warehouse membership-only retail company about 6 or 7 years ago as a stocker. Their standard policy is to rotate managers every so many years. We got this one jerk manager who allegedly pulled the gender card to get promoted. And she really acted like the type. Just to give you an idea of the type of person I'm talking about. A serious mega Karen. She made up all kinds of new rules out of nowhere, presumably to show dominance over us and our supervisors. One rule, implemented immediately, was that all cardboard from stocking had to go on these 2x1 meter long orange flatbed carts instead of in regular shopping carts. Keep in mind, we started at 4 AM and that I was stocking the liquor section on the other side of the warehouse from the cardboard hall. All my cardboard was small and didn't stack. This rule didn't work for me, and I just wasn't having it. I started my task and started chucking my cardboard in a cart anyway. She came by to remind me to use a flatbed. I calmly and rationally explained and demonstrated why it didn't work for me. She said to do it anyway. So I picked up the cart full of cardboard and placed it on the flatbed sideways. And then I absolutely filled the bastard until it was taller than I was by wedging huge sheets of cardboard in the sides and filling the middle with the small stuff. Skip forward 2 hours when I had left this absolute monstrosity out during lunch and I was coming back. She is yelling into her walkie-talkie for my supervisor, Andy, to come back and look at what I had done. I was in the next aisle straightening something and trying not to laugh out loud. Andy comes back and he is visibly trying not to laugh while she screams about writing me up. He calls me over and I just calmly say, "Well, it's on the flatbed, I don't see the problem." She storms off and my manager didn't write me up. That was definitely one of my most satisfying days working there. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please consider subscribing to the channel for more content. Let me know what you think about the stories in the comment section below. Have a great day. Bye bye.